Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today I want to talk about Tyrese Haliburton, one of my favorite young players in the entire league right now, and he feels like the next coming of a point guard archetype, an amazing passer that rarely turns the ball over and can be an offensive dynamo for whatever squad he's on. Right now, he's been the leader for an Indiana Pacers team that is shocking the entire world, right in the thick of the playoff hunt when many, me included, thought they'd be towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Today, I want to talk about what makes Tyrese so special, the year he's having, and ultimately what I think his trajectory is in the course of his career. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos, and let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's start off with talking about how Tyrese Haliburton ended up in Indiana in the first place. He was first drafted by Sacramento back in the 2020 draft towards the end of the lottery, which felt like a pretty low spot for him to go, as many thought he could go as early as maybe number 4 to the Chicago Bulls, which I'm sure they wish they did right now. But Reese ended up thriving in his rookie season, and he was even better in his sophomore year. He was taking a massive leap in scoring, playmaking, efficiency. Everything seemed to be really coming together for Tyrese, and it felt like he was on a potential all-star path heading into the next couple years of his career. However, it seemed like he and De'Aaron Fox, the Kings' other lead guard, didn't mesh super well, as they both performed much better when the other one wasn't playing. So eventually, the Kings made the decision to stay with De'Aaron Fox and traded Haliburton to the Indiana Pacers for Domantas Sabonis, a move that signaled that the Kings were trying to win and the Pacers were probably heading towards a rebuild. Tyrese would end up playing 26 games for Indiana to close out the season, and it was clear right away that he was going to be a centerpiece that they could build around for years to come, a phenomenal piece to acquire right as you begin to retool this roster. In his 26 games, Haliburton averaged 17.5 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 9.6 assists, and 1.8 steals, while shooting over 50% from the field and 41.6% from deep. He'd always been an efficient scorer and a great playmaker, but these numbers really jumped off the page. They were even improved from what he was doing in Sacramento, and it showed just how high his potential was when he was given full reins of the offense. These stats were many that people predicted he would have in his prime years, never mind in his second year in the league, and quickly everybody realized just how high his potential was. And like I said, for Indiana, getting a player like this to begin your rebuild is incredible. It's exactly what you want. So immediately, the whole league was talking about him. He was most people's pick to be a most improved player this upcoming season, and many people looked at him as a potential dark horse all-star if Indiana could find some sustained success, at least until the February break. With all this hype, there were some pretty lofty expectations for Tyrese this season, expectations that it would have been very easy for him not to meet or come up just short of. However, he's not only met these expectations, he has far exceeded what he was supposed to do. The Pacers as well, and that's in big part due to him, are 19-17, the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, right in the thick of the playoff hunt. And it's not only due to Tyrese, but also some of their other role players that we can talk about later, but he is the focal point. He is doing basically everything for them offensively, orchestrating what has been one of the most fun units to watch, something that was a bit unexpected, as many people, me included, thought right now they would be in the thick of things for Victor Wembanyama towards the bottom of the East. Between the surprise success from Indiana and his own great play, he is not only in all-star conversations, but some outlets like Bleacher Report have him picked to maybe be an all-star starter when the game rolls around in February. That's how great he's been. He's in the conversations for one of the top point guards in not just the East, but in the entire league, and as he continues to get older and older, those conversations are only going to get louder. So let's go ahead and talk about what he's doing exactly this season and how he's getting it done. Statistically, on the season, Tyrese Haliburton is averaging 20.8 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 10.2 assists, 1.7 steals on 48.2% shooting, and 41.1% from deep. Like I said, these are amazing numbers. We very rarely see players average 20 and 10, never mind in just their third season. Let's start off by talking about the thing that Haliburton is probably most known for, and that's his playmaking. Right now, Haliburton is not only the leader in total assists across the league, but he's also the official leader in assists per game. And I say official because technically James Harden has a higher average of assists per game, but he hasn't played enough games to qualify quite yet, so Haliburton is still technically the leader in that category. And this is not only impressive, this is impressive especially for a third-year player in his first real full season within an offense. Additionally, he leads the league in assist percentage, which is a stat that estimates the total percentage of all of his teammates' field goals that he assists when he's on the court. And that number is at 48.5, meaning that just below half of all of his teammates' field goals while Haliburton is on the court come off of one of his dimes. This number is ahead of great playmakers that we think of, like Trae Young, Nikola Jokic, James Harden, Luka Doncic, and Ja Morant. He is exceeding all of them in terms of creating opportunities for his teammates. He's almost single-handedly creating these looks for his guys when he's out on the court, which is incredible to watch, and it showcases just how gifted he is at not only finding teammates, but getting them good looks. This great vision production also leads to him leading the league in points generated off assists with 830. That's over 100 more than the second place guy, who's Luka Doncic. He's also got 3 15-assist games, the second most in the league behind James Harden. He is the definition of a floor general, and even beyond the stats, if you just watch him pass out there, he makes some incredible looks. He consistently finds guys open in clutch moments. One moment in particular that I keep coming back to is his ability to find Andrew Nembhard on his game winner against the Los Angeles Lakers. He recognized the situation he was in and was able to kick it out to a shooter in the waning moments of a game. He knew exactly how much time was on the shot clock. He knew whether he could get a pass off or if he had to force the shot, and he knew there was time to rotate the ball to a more open teammate, and he did exactly that. His floor IQ, his vision is all there. He is truly becoming one of the next great playmakers in this league, and it feels very Chris Paul-esque. When I watch him, he very rarely turns the ball over. His assist to turnover ratio is fantastic, and he consistently makes the right reads. You very rarely see Tyrese Haliburton make a mistake when passing the ball. He's very likely going to lead the league in assists multiple times over the course of his career, and he has a real chance to do it this year. Although the way James Harden is passing the ball, I think he's probably the safer bet to pick, but the fact that Tyrese is even going to be in that conversation already speaks a lot to his continued growth, and I think by the time he reaches his prime, I wouldn't be surprised as he gets more weapons and probably a better co-star, he ends up with maybe like 12 assists per game while averaging 20 or more points. It's just an absolutely absurd stat line as he potentially becomes a perennial all-star for the Indiana Pacers as well as their franchise guy. Then we go back to his scoring, which I'll refresh is at 20.8 points per game on 48.2% shooting and 41.1% from deep. You can probably already tell these are ridiculous numbers, especially for a 20 point per game score that's as young as he is. However, let's put it into a bit of context just how impressive what he's doing is at the moment. Amongst all guards scoring 20 points per game, Haliburton has the 7th best true shooting percentage. He's ahead of guys like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Devin Booker. These guys are all ones that we think of as high-level scorers, yet Tyrese is currently more efficient than them, while also playmaking the heck out of the ball. He's in great company, and it showcases just how great his offense is now, but also how high he can climb if he's already doing this at such a young age on a roster that, while it's pretty solid, could theoretically be a ton better. Overall, it's just nice to see him be more and more aggressive, recognize that not only should I be a great playmaker, but if I leverage that with my highly efficient scoring, then it makes me such an unstoppable offensive force. You don't know if he's going to pass, you don't know if he's going to score, and either way, he's probably going to do it very, very well, and this all combines to make him one of the single most dynamic and effective offensive players in the entire NBA right now. This all culminates in the fact that right now Haliburton has the 4th best offensive box plus minus in the entire NBA, which is a stat that's supposed to measure a player's overall offensive impact. The only guys that he's behind at the moment are Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and Nikola Jokic, 3 of the first names that probably come to mind when you think of dominant offensive players in the NBA right now. Haliburton is right behind them on their tails. He could even catch some of those guys in this stat by the end of the season. He's already in such elite company offensively, playmaking wise, scoring wise, efficiency wise. He is doing basically everything right for them and truly one of the most dynamic offensive guards in the NBA. Now, if we do have to talk about one limitation, it is his defense. He's not a great defender by any means at the moment. However, I am hopeful that due to him having some physical tools, that can continue to rise, especially as he gets some better defenders around him on the perimeter. But overall, right now, that is the biggest area of his game that he needs to work on, and one that if he really wants to become one of the true superstars in the NBA, he'll have to really capitalize on and work on over the course of some off seasons. All this to say that Tyrese Haliburton is really, really good, and I don't think I need to really tell you that. The numbers, the video, everything basically speaks for itself. But this wouldn't be a video about a young player if we didn't talk about the potential trajectory that we could see from them over the course of their career. And as much as Wally Szczerbiak doesn't want to admit it, he's going to be an all-star this season. I would be shocked if he wasn't in the game by the time February rolls around. Despite his defensive deficiencies, his offensive game is so far beyond so many other players in the league that he absolutely has to be in that conversation, and I wouldn't be surprised if he even got a little bit of love for a starting spot. I don't think he'll end up getting it behind some of the other great guards in the Eastern Conference, but he absolutely should be on that team when it's all said and done. So an all-star appearance in just his 3rd season is amazing. That is a great starting point for him, but how much higher can he get? If he continues playing like this, I would be surprised if he wasn't a perennial all-star at least most seasons, and I think he will be, although if the Pacers do decide to blow things up at this trade deadline or in the offseason and the roster gets a lot worse, their record isn't quite there, I could see him missing a couple games here and there just due to overall lack of team success while the guard crop in the NBA is as deep as it is at the moment. But in any year where the Pacers are at least decent, I would expect Haliburton to be right in the thick of all-star conversations and eventually reach a point where he's making all NBA noise as well. When you've got someone that's so efficient, can score 20 points per game, especially if he brings that number up, which I think is the big key for him, is if he can bring that number up towards like 22, 23, maybe even get up to 24, it becomes nearly impossible to keep him off all NBA teams if he's still averaging around double-digit assists, like I think he can. I think he can lead the league in assists multiple times in his career, potentially be an all-NBA player a few times as well, and he truly feels like a franchise player that Indiana can focus their rebuild around. It is so amazing that they were able to get such a high-level talent to begin this whole new era for them. Indiana may also already have his co-star in Benedict Mathurin, who's leading the league right now in points per game off the bench. He's a fearless scorer who looks like he can take over any game that you give him the ball in, and I really think that him and Tyrese as a dynamic backcourt can work super well, because Benedict Mathurin is definitely more scoring oriented, while Haliburton can, like we said, score 20 plus points per game, but if his team needs him to, can also focus on playmaking at a very high level. So I think the two of them could be a really good fit together in the backcourt. They've got some other young talent as well, a guy like Andrew Nembhard, who we mentioned earlier in the video, a guy like Jalen Smith, Chris Duarte, some names that we can talk about, and maybe even potentially another lottery pick this year if they do end up falling out of the playoff picture. And with all this being said, right now the Pacers are in such a golden spot in their rebuild. They deserve a lot of credit for the way that they've retooled quickly and really secured their future for the long term. I'm excited to see what they can do over the course of these next few years, and in particular, I can't wait to see how Tyrese Haliburton continues to become potentially the next point guard in the NBA. With all that being said, I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these videos. Go ahead and comment down below what you think Tyrese Haliburton's ceiling is. Do you think he could be like a 25 and 12 type guy? Do you think he could win an MVP, be a future Hall of Famer? Let me know all that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.